Hello again. This is the third match from season 20 here. I'm up against breppert, who is quite a cool guy. We've chatted a few times before, and there's always been friendly, constructive chat. So happy I get an opportunity to play with him here in this league format. He promoted from C actually to get up to B. Alright, so introductions aside, the board, I don't know, now when I analyze our board, I look to the right first to check out the events and the rhyming events, wall and ball. Wall, I don't like wall because it compresses many things. Obviously, you want your deck size to be as small as possible so the wall will have as little effect on you, and that influences your deck building, right? It influences your deck building. So that's why I don't like it, because it kind of constrains everything. Anyways, so you want to get thin, right? So I'm thinking, okay, let's get a Spice Merchant. What do I pair the Spice Merchant with? Chariot Race won't trigger, most likely, if I pick it up on the opening. Workshop, I mean, what do I really workshop? And I don't want to gain too many things because of the wall. My opponent thinks differently and goes for the workshop alongside his Spice Merchant. So what's left for me is the silver, right? I'm actually looking at Ghost Ship as the terminal to play here. There's only one terminal space in your deck, and I would like that to be Ghost Ship, I think. I feel like the attack is going to be particularly brutal here, given that there is no way to increase your hand size. So my opponent now goes for some Chariot Races with his workshop. 4 here, I consider another silver, but I think I am going to pick up the Temple because the Spice Merchant cannot kill the estates. And then I get, well, the game, the board rewards you for picking up, or for getting thinner. Sorry. So I do see the Chariot Races, and in a thin deck they will trigger reliably, so I do want to get some eventually, but I think I want to get to the Ghost Ship before I start going for the Chariot Races. I don't pick up any yet because I don't believe it'll get me any benefit, being the coin and the VP from it. I think my opponent actually manages to trigger one here, so maybe he's onto something by picking up the Chariot Races this early. But now he goes for a Temple of his workshop instead of another Chariot Race. Like I said, the wall constrains your deck building here, so obviously he wants the Temple to get rid of his estates too, right? I now go for a Chariot Race in my deck, which is becoming increasingly more thin. I expect it to be a little more reliable in picking up the money and chip VP. A couple good draws for me here with the Temple. Excellent. I was able to trash 2 things with it on 2 turns, consecutively too, so that's very nice for me. And out comes my opponent's Temple, jeez, and thins for him as well. So one kinda significant difference in the deck so far is that I have a couple silvers, whereas my opponent has none. So what he's saying is that, okay, I'm going to rely on my Chariot Races for getting me money to buy things. However, I don't think it has triggered all that often for him yet. So he just has a bunch of these Chariot Races, which hasn't done anything for him yet, or anything significant for him yet. It will eventually, right? He is getting thinner, getting rid of the estates and the coppers, so hopefully it'll do better work for him later in the game. Now 6 here, I have a choice, right? There's Ghost Ship, like I said I wanted. There's also Outpost, which you could use if you have lots of Chariot Races and potential for your Chariot Races to bring in the VP. Or there's Ball. Now I go for the Ball here, thinking about 2 Chariot Races, because I'm behind on the split right now, 4-2. So I do get 1 Chariot Race, but I take a Temple as well, taking away that pile of 5 victory points from my opponent. It's always a difficult decision with these gathering piles, whether or not it was correct to take the Temple there, or whether I should have gone for a couple Chariot Races, trying to, establish a source of drip VP for my future turns. So I don't know. it was difficult for me at that point. I chose to go for the temple. I don't particularly like leaving nearly a province worth of points for my opponent to just pick up there. Especially here where the alternative source of VP is Vineyard, which is kind of difficult to make happen. Given that there's no plus buy, there is a gain in Workshop, but I mean, how often are you going to play that Workshop? Do you want to be gaining lots of stuff, lots of action cards with the wall around? I don't know, it seems kind of tough. So here I trash a silver just to be able to trash some more cards with the temple, and I rebuy the silver. I need to have 2 silvers, I think, to get to the ghost ship. I do have some chariot races, and they may trigger, but they're not always going to trigger, because if you observe now, my opponent has drawn his deck, right? My deck is also very thin. We have a deck full of good things, mostly chariot races, so it means that the most probable outcome, I feel, just from looking at it, not from mathematics, is that Chariot Race is going to reveal Chariot Race, and then you're still not going to get any benefit from the Chariot Race. So in some way, the Chariot Races cancel each other out. Sometimes, not all the time, right? Sometimes you will be victorious in your Chariot Race, as I was here. He actually still has an estate left in his deck, so I'm able to get a couple coins and VP off this turn, which actually allows me to pick up 2 things here, 2 good things. Spice Merchant, not a Spice Merchant, a Chariot Race, and a Ghost Ship. So finally I have the Ghost Ship, but I don't know, the Ghost Ship doesn't seem that powerful now. But I still think the attack will hurt. I still think it's worth it to pick up the Ghost Ship. And I know I did say that there's only 1 terminal space in this deck, but sometimes that doesn't mean you just play with 1 terminal in your deck. Sometimes you could play with 2, maybe 3. More seems like excessive. 3 even seems like pushing it. The reason why you would do that is because maybe you want to play 1 terminal in a certain situation and another terminal in another situation. That could happen. That's not entirely unreasonable at all. So I'm only gonna get one of my chariot races to trigger here. I have 4 of them, my opponent has 6 of them, so he has one that's split. Maybe he could take advantage now of having lots more chariot races, well, 2 more chariot races, but if he could get them to trigger more reliably, then that'll be some headaches for me here, right? And chariot race is kinda how you want to score points on this board, given that the wall is there. So your 1 chariot race could get you like 5, 6, 7 VP throughout the game and only uses up 1 deck slot. So that's a pretty good return. It also draws a card, right? Also gets you money if it triggers. So all of those things are nice. I do pick up an outpost here, so this is what I was saying by picking up multiple terminals. Now I have, what, a temple, a ghost ship, and an outpost in my deck. Seems like a lot. The outpost counts as half because I could play it now and then on my outpost and play another terminal. So that's not so bad. Not so bad. So he attacked me with ghost ship, and it actually allowed me to stack 2 5 costs on top of my deck, which in turn let me trigger both my chariot races, because he only has the 1 ghost ship that he could use to beat or a tie with my 5 costs. So I was fairly certain I would get a couple points there as well as coins, so that worked out. So that's one thing also in favor of the chariot races, right? It can perhaps give you a better chance of triggering chariot races if you know what's on top of your deck. Yeah. Outpost for my opponent here. So we have similar style decks at this point. Right, the ghost ship, the outpost. The difference is he has more chariot races than me. Right, and so it's up to him now to try to carry that advantage home. So this is the next part of the plan, right? So the chariot races are done. I am thin. I have nearly all the terminals that I want. So I think, well, what you have to do now is score points with provinces. I mean, like I said, the chariot races, they're not gonna get you buckets of points, especially seeing as how we split them kinda evenly. If it was 7-3, things would have been different. He could have just built put goals and lots of expensive stuff into his deck, and then have that just firing almost every turn. But we see a different play for my opponent here. He goes for the potion, signaling intent for the Vineyards, right? So he has won the Chariot race split. However, he doesn't have that many actions in his deck. So he has 6 of those guys. A workshop, I think a spice merchant, so that's 8 actions. Go ship and outpost, so 10 actions. His vineyard is worth 3 points, which is same as Duchy. And at that point, I wasn't concerned at all. Because if he's getting 3 points, I could be getting 6 points with the provinces up top there. And I don't really see how it is he's going to rapidly increase the worth of his vineyards here. He has the 1 workshop, but what will you gain? There's 3 piles there, right? But by the time you have 6, 7 vineyards in your deck, you're sort of stuck on this board with no draw. Meaning you will have bad turns more often, right? You'll see lots of vineyards in your hand and not enough money, not workshops enough. So I didn't really see a way to make use of that of the vineyards there. So I am just gonna go ahead and continue with my plan, which is to get lots of gold. You have to get quite a bit of gold if you want to buy provinces against the ghost ship attack. You want to make sure if you're keeping 3 cards in your hand, they're 3 very good cards, and 3 gold, pretty good cards. So here I could pick up another gold, but I do have quite a bit, maybe 3 or 4 at this point, and I go for an expand at this point. So another terminal in the deck, so a bit sketchy, right? Outpost, ghost ship, temple, and expand. Now by this point, I really don't want to be playing my temple. There's nothing left to trash in my deck, so I don't count the temple as a terminal space used. In fact, if I have the opportunity, I will expand that temple into something else, perhaps. Also, playing the temple would make it more lucrative for my opponent. And he has the workshop, so it's very easy for him to gain a temple and the points off of it. And I would rather him not have the points. So there I go for the ghost ship over the other 2 terminals, the expand and the temple. Looking for money, and I do find money, so I'm going to start going for the provinces. Now I do believe I have quite a bit of treasure in my deck. With the occasional trigger from the chariot races, I should be okay. Should be okay to score my provinces. So a couple now for me. An interesting thing with the chariot race and the vineyard is that if a vineyard is at the top of my opponent's deck, I can never win a chariot race, which is unfortunate. It also means he can't win chariot races. But, oh well, I can't win them either. So here I am going to stick good things on top of the deck to hopefully have a better outpost turn. I could have put back the province, say, and tried to win a chariot race there, but that's 1 point and 1 money. What am I doing with $3? At this point, I don't really want to buy silver because I think we're very close, if not already, to the point where the wall is starting to crush us. That's what it feels like. The wall just closing in on you. And the outpost turn actually nets me a province, which is very good for me here. So here, now you see my opponent starting to make the play to fatten their vineyards, right? Using their workshop gain for a workshop. And just chugging along there with the vineyards. So here, look, I do have options, right? I could expand province into province. I could expand ghost ship into province or gold into province. I choose none of them. I choose to attack my opponent. I'm looking for money because I was very close. I just needed to see 1 treasure card to be able to buy province, but I didn't see money, so oh well, I'm just gonna pick up 1 more gold. I'm still feeling okay about my position. My opponent's vineyards are not scary yet. This is what I'm talking about with the ghost ship here, right? You want to make sure if you're playing with 3 card hands, the 3 cards that you keep are good. This is enough for province. This is excellent. And he is also going to start running into the issue here, I think already, of every time he picks up an action card, he has to take -1 from the wall. So that reduces the effectiveness of his vineyards, of course. So we really have the province versus Vineyards action going on here, and I believe that the provinces are going to win here, right? So far we are close on points. We are on par with points here. But I believe with my expand especially, right? This was also a reason for picking up the expand against the Vineyards. I can't give him enough time to fatten it up to 7, 8, 9 points, right? I have to be able to get a lead and be able to close out the game before he can do anything with his Vineyards. Meaning get them up past my province with, right, past 6 points. So here I'm going to make an interesting play. I notice now I'm starting to be affected by the wall, and also there's 3 points on the temple. So I'm going to trash a silver here with my temple. I don't think it does too much for me, and I do get, you know, some ease up. I do get relieved from the wall here, sorry. But I am going to buy back a temple here, picking up 4 points. It's kind of a points play, like I get 1 from my temple play plus 4 from buying a temple. Not really sure about that play there, but I wasn't quite sure what to do with such little money. Another workshop for my opponent, so I'm happily going to play this outpost and pick up another province. So here, this is where the expand is going to come through for me. Right now, I have a bigger lead, starting to cement it more and more firmly here. So now the expand could come through and close out the game. And a nice thing with the expand is that it doesn't add a card into your deck, right? It just replaces one thing into another thing. So the wall isn't going to matter for things that you expand. And things look very, very secure for me right now, especially with the expand in my deck. My expand has been missing the shuffle quite a bit though, which I wasn't pleased about. Wasn't pleased about at all for this game. But things still worked out for me. Really, the Vineyards, he couldn't get them ramped up enough, like, right? And even now, he is finding it difficult to purchase a Vineyard at turn. The lack of plus buy is constraining him, right? So ideally for him, he would use the workshop, gain an action, buy Vineyard. But his deck is getting bigger and bigger, and he can't do that every turn. So he's not able to, you know, get enough Vineyards in time anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and choose to expand this goal here and just try to get around back to the expand now, because I feel like my lead is big enough, and I'll get the occasional trigger from my Chariot race, just bringing in the drip VP. I could pick up a duchy too, because that can be expanded into province. I have no problems doing that. I could also use my temple here, right? I'm going to get rid of 2 things from my deck, so that's +2 for me, hooray. And I believe I picked up 1 VP from the Chariot race. So, my opponent is actually going to resign quite quickly here. Not quite quickly, quite soon. Because I guess he feels that the lead is too far out, and after this province, yeah, that is probably true. I just have to see my expand with something reasonable, and I'll be able to close out the game. So that is game 1 for you here. This was a bit strange, right? You play with more than 1 terminal in your deck, even though you only have space for 1, and you use them at different times, which isn't crazy if your deck is kind of fat, but I don't know. Province versus Vineyards. There you go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.